You're listening to Free Mama Radio, where we believe you can have both a successful business and show up as the mom you want to be. I'm your host, Lauren Golden, a mom who built a full-time income working part-time hours. Now, I help other moms like you learn how to work from home on your own terms, take control of your schedule, and make more money so you can live a totally awesome, guilt-free life. I am on a mission to make sure that no mother has to choose between family and financial stability. So if you've been wondering, can I really have it all? This podcast will give you the answers.
Good morning, good afternoon, happy Monday, wherever you're tuning in from. Again, my name is Lauren Golden. I'm the founder of the Free Mama and the Free Mama movement. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. I'm really excited because I titled today's training, Never Let Your Clients Down. Never let your clients down. Okay, so a few weekends ago, we had Freelance to Freedom Weekend. If you missed all of that, or if you're brand new to the community, make sure you go to freemamaradio.com and check out last week's episode, or you can get online on either Instagram or Facebook and you can watch last week's live training from last Monday, because so much happened at Freelance to Freedom Weekend. Quick recap. Number one, we are now a coaching program, essentially. We are more than just a course. We believe in not just information, but implementation. We know that knowledge is not power, applied knowledge is power, right? And so we have to back it up with action, and that is what we're committed to helping you guys with. The second thing we talked about is we gave the dates for Free Mama Live. Just this morning, I confirmed our first speaker for Free Mama Live. It's in Kansas City, March 24th through 26th. So you can head to freemamalive.com if you guys want to join us in Kansas City for Free Mama Live. McCall Jones is going to be in KC. So there was not a single person who filled out our feedback form from Freelance to Freedom Weekend who did not mention McCall Jones by name. If you guys don't know her, she is extraordinary, and she is coming to Kansas City in March. I'm so excited. And as part of Freelance to Freedom Weekend, we got to do something really cool, and that is that all my VIPs and I sat down for lunch on Friday. They ate, and I answered their questions. They submitted all their questions in advance, and it went by so fast. We had over 30 submissions, and I told them, okay, I can't answer over 30 questions in an hour, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep this tab open on my computer, and I promise that I will answer every single question. And so as I was sitting here today going, okay, what is a Monday training? What is on people's minds, on their hearts? What's something that they want to learn about? The very last submission said, how do you get over the fear of meeting your clients' expectations? And I was like, wow, that's a really good question, because as someone who has both hired freelancers as well as someone with years of experience working as a freelancer and someone who still works as an online service provider, this is something that's really, really important. Plus, it sparks one of my 3 favorite words. So if you've ever watched an episode of Free Mama TV over on YouTube, or you have ever heard me coach or train for an extended period of time, you know that my 3 favorite words in the English language are communication, expectations, boundaries. In fact, we have a coloring book. I have it in my drawer over there that we have given out at our last couple virtual events. And one of the pages in the adult coloring book, although I know some of your kids steal yours, says communication, expectations, boundaries. I believe that these 3 things are the key, not just to a healthy and happy professional relationship, but to all of your personal relationships as well. So I think because of that, this particular question really stood out to me. How do you get over the fear of meeting clients' expectations? And I don't know if this is something that we experience as we up level, or as we start to charge more, or if this is something that we experience just when we're getting started, or a little bit of both. But if you've ever felt this way, I would love to hear that from you if this is resonating with you. And so I sat here and I thought about what are things that we can do to make sure that we never let our clients down. Okay. And this really starts before they even become your clients, right? It comes before they give you money, because when you're in that either pre-qualifying stage, or you are on that discovery call, you're in a sales conversation with someone, if you are already thinking like, there's no way I can actually do the things they're asking, like it's probably not going to be a very healthy relationship, right? Like you probably should not try to close that sale. And so that's like, it's got to start. It's a precursor. This should always be top of mind. One of my favorite sayings ever, you guys, is that all disappointment comes from unmet expectations. I want you for a second to think back to your last anniversary or birthday or holiday or something where you had in your mind date night, family vacation, family photos. I want you to think back to the last time where you got really excited about something and you had this idea in your head of what it was going to be, right? Like you had this idea of how either people were going to behave or what the finished product was going to be or what someone was going to gift you. And maybe things didn't go according to your vision. And you ended up, as a result, you ended up disappointed, right? So all disappointment comes from unmet expectations. So the first thing is we've got to sit back and we've got to think about what are we expecting and what are our clients expecting of us, right? We all know what this feeling of disappointment feels like. So I came up with 3 ways for you guys. Here are 3 ways to get over your fear of meeting your client's expectation. And the first is that you have to be realistic and honest with yourself. You have to be realistic and honest with yourself. Okay, so if someone, let's say it's a scenario around meeting somebody's expectations around time. Like let's say somebody needs some sales emails tomorrow, or they want a website built in a week, and you know that it's your kid's birthday and Thanksgiving's coming up, and like you already have your retainer clients and all this stuff. But we operate from this place of fear of like, well, if I don't say yes, then I'm not going to get the work. And so we end up in this place where we're either going to disappoint ourselves and our family members because we're going to be sacrificing sleep. We're going to be making all of these accommodations internally and in our own life to meet that person's expectations. Or worse, potentially, both of them are pretty bad. You make all of those sacrifices and then, or you try to, and it doesn't work out. And then you don't actually do the thing you said you were going to do for your client. Right? And it ends up with a lack of trust of them, of you, because you said you were going to do a certain thing, but you weren't honest and realistic with yourself about your way to deliver it. So be realistic and be honest with yourself. I teach something to all my students called controlling the pace. So if your scenario is something around time or around something being able to be delivered and meeting their time expectations around a deadline, you have to be honest and realistic with yourself. Right? First and foremost, can you actually fulfill that? If you can't, that leads me to step 2 around meeting other people's expectations. Again, we're talking business, you guys, but these same strategies apply to your personal life, to your relationships with your kids, your family members, your spouse, okay? Number 2 is communicate, that other favorite word, communicate openly and often. Openly and often. A lot of times we wait to communicate until something is really wrong. So we wait till something is super problematic before we actually say something. Whereas if we communicate openly and often from the beginning, we have that channel of communication open. We have that trust and advice happening back and forth before it becomes like do or die. So let me give you an example. We're going to stick with we're writing an email sequence for somebody. They wanted it by Friday. You maybe or maybe not were open and honest and realistic with yourselves, but let's say that something happened that week. Let's say you ended up getting sick or a kiddo got sick, something happened. You didn't communicate that to them because you didn't want them to worry. You want to look professional, you want to follow through, you want to do all the things, but all of a sudden it's Thursday night, you haven't slept in 2 days, you don't feel good, they're still expecting it on Friday, and now it's like your back's up against the wall and there was no communication throughout the week that like, hey, my week got derailed. This has happened. I'm going to do my best to still fulfill this by Friday, but would it be okay for me to get it to you on Monday? Preventatively. A lot of times, again, we wait till our back's against the wall, and then it's like we either sacrifice ourselves or we break trust with our client because we didn't put that good communication in place beforehand. Okay. So when I'm talking about controlling the pace, again, this has more to do with deadlines than actually completing a task, which I'll talk about here in just a second. When we're talking about deadlines, do you guys realize that you can say no? That you can actually negotiate these types of things? So if someone says like, hey, I need this by XYZ, you can say, hey, that actually won't work for me. Would ABC be okay? And you can have a conversation around that. Sometimes the answer is no. I'm just going to tell you that as a business owner, sometimes there is a very high sense of urgency. There's other things going on in their business behind the scenes that you may or may not be involved in. And sometimes there is an actual real sense of urgency. Other times it's an arbitrary deadline to get things actually over to them or to get things completed. And if you don't have that communication, that trust with each other, that you feel confident asking for what you need to deliver at the highest possible standard, then it's going to be really challenging for you in the long term to have a healthy business relationship with them. It's going to feel not like equals. It's going to feel like, they say jump and you say how high. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can exceed people's expectations and still have a really healthy flow of communication with good boundaries in place. And everybody's expectations not only can be met, but can be exceeded, because here at the Free Mama, we talk a lot about putting a bow on it, right? So the third thing that you guys can do to get over the fear of meeting clients' expectations, in addition to being open and realistic with yourself, or honest and realistic with yourself, having open and often communication with your clients, is number 3, which is to understand how success is measured. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is not something that I dove into and learned about until I started outsourcing. If I would have known about this as a freelancer, I could have had a lot better conversations with my clients that would have helped me do even better work than I was doing, or in some situations, not spend so much time and energy on things that were not actually significant to them. So if you ever have trouble prioritizing, or you're doing a lot of different things for your clients and you're just kind of guessing, or you're just doing the work that you enjoy the most first, but you don't actually know what their priorities are, and you don't know what success, the end result is measured as successful. If you don't have that information, you could pour your heart and soul into it and spend hours, days, weeks. You think you did an amazing job, and they could still end up disappointed. So I see this happening sometime with my designer people. Usually this is more in the creative sense, where it is a more subjective form of success sometimes than objective. But even in the creative fields, such as writing or funnel design or graphic design, there's still very tangible results that your clients are looking for. So let me give you guys some examples. And one of the ways that we talk about this, by the way, in the business world, is through KPIs. If you don't know what that means, you're in really good company, because I did not know until about a year ago when my CPA told me. Yes, a year ago. That means I had made millions of dollars as an entrepreneur and had never heard the phrase KPI. It's Key Performance Indicator, and it is basically an acronym for how success is measured. And you can apply KPIs to social media management, to conversions in a sales funnel, to virtual assistant work, to the speed with which you either reply to emails, or your save rate for people who are wanting to maybe cancel in a membership, your response time in customer service. All these different things can have KPIs attached to them. So again, what we're talking about is how is success measured. So if you are concerned about meeting your clients' expectations and making sure they're happy, the very first conversation that you should have should be, what does success look like to you? And you have to treat this the same way that you would treat a goal. So if you came into the Free Mama Squad, for example, and I was like, cool, we're in the middle of Q4, looking into Q1 of 2022. What are your goals for next year? And you were like, I want to grow my business. I'd be like, awesome. That's a really cool intention, or that's a really cool dream or focus. That's not actually a goal, because it's not specific and it's not measurable. So then you might go back and you might tell me, okay, cool, Lauren, I want to grow my business. And what that means is I want to sign on 3 new clients by March 1st. And I'm like, cool, because now I can tell you whether or not you did this, right? Now it's specific and it's measurable. We know what success would look like in your mind. You will have 3 new clients with a signed contract by March 1st. Got it? Right? Like, thumbs up. Cool, I've got it. The challenge for a lot of us when we're working with our clients is we don't have these definitive, measurable statements around our performance as business owners and service providers. And so I encourage you to go to your entrepreneur clients. And if you don't already know this, and this is something you can even talk about during a sales call, if you don't already know this information, you need to sit down with them and say, hey, I understand your goal in terms of like what you're looking for. Like, I know you want a 6 email sequence, or, I know I'm going to be managing your emails and booking out all your appointments and doing confirmations. But like, can we talk about how we're going to measure my performance and what success is going to look like? And this shouldn't scare you. This is exactly what's going to allow you to sleep at night, because you are going to know without your client even telling you whether or not you were successful. You are going to know definitively that you're meeting their expectations because you talked about it. You got clear on what that is for them. And then you have the capability of measuring whether or not you follow through. So for any of you who are like, oh my gosh, how do I especially getting started, or like you're raising your rates and you've got that imposter syndrome of like, oh, but can I deliver? Who cares? Who cares about your rate? I mean, not that you deliver, you definitely want to deliver. But your price, if they say yes, it doesn't matter if you're charging $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, if their expectations are met, if they're happy, if they're getting the results that they're seeking, right? It's not up to your subjective opinion about it. It actually is something that they should be measuring. And one of the challenges here, you guys, is that if we don't have step 3 in place, if we don't understand how success is measured, we're left guessing. We're left guessing if they like the work that we're doing. We're left guessing if it's actually working. We're left guessing, if we're doing a good job, if they're happy with us, if they're going to renew. Whereas if we have this really tangible information around what the goals of the business owner are and how we fit into that puzzle, then not only does it make it easier to know that their expectations are being met, but it's also going to make it easier for you to raise your rates, or for you to be involved in other things that you could sell them, other services that they may need that you could provide within their business, because you have this open and often communication, and you're realistic and honest about your ability to fulfill those things. So hopefully you guys found this useful. Again, this was a question from one of you. As always, if you guys have questions, post them in the Facebook group, send me a DM, connect with me on Instagram or anywhere else. Everything that we produce is for you guys based on the questions and feedback that you give us. And that includes over on FreeMamaTV on YouTube as well. So if you are ready to meet your clients' expectations, not just meet them, but exceed them and put a bow on it and have these long-lasting relationships, then you are in very good company here at The Free Mama. And if you are someone who is already doing these things, then you are definitely not going to want to miss out on Free Mama Live. Again, if you are just tuning in, Free Mama Live today is the last day to get your early bird tickets. If you're coming, let me know so everybody knows who we're going to see there. And I just announced that the amazing McCall Jones is our first speaker to say yes. She spoke at Freelance to Freedom Weekend a few weeks ago, and there was not a person who did not reference her in their feedback about the event. So she is absolutely amazing. She will be joining us in Kansas City, March 24th through 26th, and I hope to see you guys there. You can check out freemamalive.com to get your tickets today and plan to join us in March. So again, as always, if today was impactful for you, if you got good advice, if something was helpful, make sure you screenshot wherever you're watching or listening, tag me on Instagram. I always reshare it in my stories, which is free exposure for you as well. So thank you guys for tuning in with me today. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Free Mama Radio. Don't forget to check out Free Mama TV right here on YouTube for hundreds of how-to videos and interviews to help you start, grow, and scale a virtual business from home. If you want to join a community of tens of thousands of moms just like you, make sure you join the Free Mama Movement group over on Facebook. And lastly, if you want to learn more about how we can do this together, work to achieve your goals, and make you our next success story, check out my free training at thefreemamamovement.com. I'll see you next time.